All right, what's going on, guys? MK Tom Brady here. So in this video, I want to go over how I feel like having a custom variation really can adversely affect the tournament variations. And no, I'm not talking about, oh, we have these cool moves in custom and we can't use them in tournament and that really sucks. No, I'm talking about it actually has an effect on the competitive game by even existing. And what do I mean by that? So let's look at Sub-Zero here, for example. So the way these custom moves are designed, these moves in general are designed, they are designed to have as many of them as you can within the allotted slot points. So what happens is some moves replace the other. In other words, slide is the default move. So if you add shoulder, they have the same command. It replaces the slide. Well, when the game came out, there was no third variation. So say creeping ice and this move here, if they had the same command, it would cause a conflict because originally these were both custom moves. And if they were both down back 3 or both down forward 4, then you couldn't equip them both. And they tried to make sure that command-wise, you can have as many of these moves as possible within the allotted slot points and build your own variation and take these variations into non-competitive versus matches and play them against other players. The problem here is that, well, for one, they definitely try to spread, not just make sure that you can fit as many moves in, but I guess for casual players, making sure that not too many moves, not too many buttons share the same commands. In other words, like, for example, with 3. Right now, 3 has back forward 3 with the shoulder, or back forward 3 with the slide, or down back 3 for rising ice, right? You have moves here that are like down forward and down back 2, as well as an air axe, same thing. So you have multiple moves per button, but they try to not overload you, like one has, down forward 1, or you can amplify it. So they try to not overload you with multiple commands on one button so that if you're, I guess, new to fighting games and you build a custom variation, there's not one button that's, well, this button has back forward 1, down forward 1, back forward 1, forward back 1, because then you get confused. So they try to spread it out so that as you go from one variation to the next, your moves are not confusing as you make a custom variation. So, for example, creeping ice couldn't be down back 3 because it has to, rising ice is down back 3. So, because 3 already has slide, shoulder, and rising ice attached to it, they're not going to make a down forward 3 now because, back when this move was custom only, what if you get confused? And this would, while you'd be able to equip them both, and they don't want them both to be down back 3 because then if they're both down back 3, then they would conflict and you couldn't, if there would be a conflict between these two moves, and they don't want these moves to conflict. They want these moves all to be possible in the same variation within the slot points. So here's what this does. So they threw creeping ice on 4. Now this is not just a Sub-Zero issue. And I'm sure people all in the comments can talk about when I go over this. Yes, this happens to my character too. This is not just a Sub-Zero thing. This is an in general thing for the characters in the game. Okay, so what happens here is because, because 3 already has 3 moves attached to it, 2 already has 2 moves attached to it, 1 has Ice Ball, and I guess Amplified Ice Ball, which in theory is 2 moves, whatever. So they say, well, let's make sure that 4 has 1 or 2 moves attached to it too. We don't want to go and not give 4, the 4 button, any type of moves. So they gave it Arctic Trap, and they gave it Creeping Ice. So this is a tournament variation, though. This is not a custom variation. The problem here is it really adversely affects the way you go about stuff. So, for example, let's say I knock somebody down and I go to have them do a delayed get up, right? And I go to guess. and I'm wrong. Well, I went for Creeping Ice there, right? But the problem is the move actually has to make contact for it to come out. So if I'm guessing a delay, long or short, and they get up and do wake up buttons as I'm trying to do this, well, this is going to come out too slow, and they wake up, jab me in the face, and I'm dead, right? So too slow, they get up, hit me in the face, and I'm dead. Too soon, and that comes out, and they block it, and I'm dead. So I guess I'll put on auto block. And even if I have it on get up, so if I guess, short. So if I guess they're gonna wake up buttons, that happens, right? So if I'm trying to stop them from getting up right away with a wake up jump, whatever, I'm dead. So if I guess they're gonna do a delayed wake up and they get right up and hit me, I'm dead. If I guess they're gonna get right up and they do any type of delay, I'm dead. Then, even if the move makes contact, a lot of characters we all know can punish Creeping Ice. So even if I guess right and they block the move, right, I'm still going to be dead in some cases, and other characters are going to flawless block it and take like between 10 and 13% of my life. Now the thing is, if I hit this, all I get is 13%. So most characters are going to take that back from me just in the flawless block. Some will take more in going through it. So in every scenario here, I'm dead. So every possible scenario, I am dead if I'm wrong. And if I'm right, I get nothing. Now, why am I dead in so many scenarios here? Because this move is tied to 4. Why is it tied to 4? Well, because, you got a bunch of custom moves that you'll never get to use in competitive play already tied to 3. How can you possibly can't make it down forward 3? Because, man, some of these casuals or people who aren't that familiar with fighting games might pick the game up and say, I'm confused. My one variation had this move at down forward 3. Now this is down back 3. And this, but it's affecting a tournament variation. All this at the expense of, well, at least we have custom variations. And Sub-Zero isn't the only case of this. There are a lot of other characters that this happens where, because of a custom variation, they don't want moves to conflict because they want you to squeeze as many moves as possible within the slot point limit. Well, because of that, a move that probably could have been this is now this. And if only this command was the same command as this custom only move, we wouldn't have this problem where instead of the special coming out, now you get a string and you're dead and you mistimed it on wake up and that was that. This is what happens. And of course, this is one of the main reasons why Dead of Winter is better, because it gets to hunt the forward 2. And if he's wrong, if he's right, it gets blocked, he's dead, right? If he's wrong, he gets blocked, he's dead. But if he has the right timing and you block it. Okay, he's dead. But if he's right, he gets a full combo. But at least if he has the wrong wake-up timing, he doesn't get the full string, and now he's super dead. And a lot of characters have situations like this, where you go to do the move, the character is still lying on the ground, it whiffs, and your string comes out instead of the special. And this is because of custom variation. There are several instances in this game in which, and I only use Sub-Zero because it's the character I'm most familiar with, but he is not the only one this happens to. And there are several instances in which a character's tournament variation suffers because of, let's make sure that this move doesn't have any conflicts, or let's say we can't make it down forward 3 because then we have 2 specials that are back forward 3. One special that's down forward 3, down back 3, and then Creeping Ice would be down forward 3. We don't want to confuse players, so let's make these. We already have commands on every other button. Screw it, this is down forward 4. And hence, it completely destroys the risk reward on that move and hurts it drastically on the variation. But it's at the expense of customizable moves. So I do think customs were not a bad idea to try out, but the problem with the custom variation can actually bleed over into competitive play. Now, I understand you want to do things for people who are not interested in tournaments. You want to give them an alternate mode of play, kind of feel like they can build their own variation. But I feel like the gear system in Injustice, in which you can tweak the already existing moves, was probably a lot better than adding some of these custom moves. Well, because for one, we have the reasons we just discussed in this video. But for two, by having these custom only moves, this is how you get things like upgraded Jackie, where the moves are absolutely ridiculous. And it's basically the best moves the character has in a tournament legal variation. Or we get situations like other characters that have really, really good custom moves that could probably help the character out. Only those moves are not available to the character because that move is custom only. So sometimes you have a character become a little too strong based on throwing in custom moves for a tournament variation. And then we have the other side of, wow, you gave me some pretty cool moves, but I never get to use them. And then it makes players feel like, well, I have these moves, but they're not there to be used. So I think going forward, if they keep the variation system, or even just have a custom character kind of thing, that they should allow you to enhance the moves more a la Injustice 2 with gear, as opposed to, you know, let's just give you some specials to throw in, and hey, this character gets to use all their best specials. I'm sorry, all your best specials can't be used. That's custom only. So there's a bunch of reasons why I feel like going forward, if they do keep the variation, I think they should abandon the custom moves and just look at ways to tweak said moves, as opposed to just giving you moves that you either can use and might be too strong because of that, because they were originally designed to be custom moves, or you can't use it all and now you're stuck wondering why, why am I using this? Or again, why can't I use this, I should say. Or again, you're basically in a situation in which, wow, this move could be this command and it sure would change how my character plays in these situations just by making the command different, but it can't be that because there are a bunch of custom moves that I can't use tied to it. So that's why I just feel like going forward, I like the idea. I like that NetherRealm experiments quite a bit, and obviously that's a good thing. You want people to be able to experiment, to try new things, to kind of push the limits of a fighting game or try things that maybe haven't been done before. And that's always a good sign. But I think this is an example of an idea that was certainly good on paper, but just had too many reasons why it's not a good idea to implement something like this in this manner going forward. Not that the custom is bad, but the custom as far as doing it in this way is probably not the best idea as they move on to future titles. Thanks for watching, everyone, and stay tuned for more content.